Hello everyone and welcome back to Glorious Crafts. My name is Gloria. I'd like to give everybody who has subscribed to my channel a big shout out. Thank you so much for supporting me. I appreciate it very much. If you're stopping by and you'd like to see more crafts, please don't hesitate to subscribe, like, and leave a comment of items that you'd like to see me make. Today I'm going to be doing resin trays. These are the trays, but I apologize. I want to say I apologize for not being around for a little bit because I was getting ready for going to Columbus Flea Market. I was planning on doing this on Monday, but it's Saturday and it was supposed to rain all day and we didn't go, so I can do this now. So let's get started. The resin and epoxy I am using is called Easy Pour Epoxy. This is the hardener. So it's 1:1 ratio, okay? So whatever amount you put in to your bowl, you want to do the equal amount with the other portion. So I'm going to put this aside for right now, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do right here. So what I get is these Clorox disinfectant wipes, and I don't want any particles from past resin in my trays, or this would be the handles for the trays. So you want to wipe them out as best you can and get any epoxy, any dust, any particles from anything, and make sure that it's clean and dry. So I have quite a bit on here of resin from before, which I will do that off camera, but you basically want to clean your items because you don't want any lint or anything on your trays or anything you're working with, because that will stay in there. So you want to give this a couple minutes to dry. So I am just cleaning these items out. You don't want any lint or any resin or anything that you have used prior in your tray. So I am going to let these dry while I clean the handles, and I'm sure you don't want to see me do that. So I am going to clean the handles and then we'll get started. So when you're working with the epoxy and hardener, which will make the resin, you need to stir it for at least 5 minutes, or what it tells you on your directions. It's good to read all the directions. You're going to get some bubbles, which you can blow them out with your heat gun or a torch. I don't really use a torch because it could melt your molds, and I don't want that. So you want this stirred. You want to make sure you get the bottom and the sides. You want everything stirred completely. I don't have a lot in here because I'm going to do a layer in the bottom of both of my trays, and I need to also do my handles. So I am just mixing. It's supposed to be 5 minutes. Your resin will harden when it gets to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It does heat up. If you leave your resin inside the container, when it gets hard, whatever's left in there will come off. You can pull it off. Do not put water with resin or the hardener. It gets extremely sticky. I learned that the hard way. So right now I am continuing to mix, and I'm going to use my heat gun. I had to get a new one. I bought one at Joann's Fabric and it stopped working, so I have another heat tool. from Wagner, and I got it from Amazon. I buy a lot of things off Amazon. It's got low and high, and I am just going to try and blow out as many bubbles as I can. The bubbles will come to the surface, and if you don't get a lot out right now, you can get it out later when you put it on your tray. So I'm going back to mixing, and I'm going to make these trays gold and white. So I'm going to add my metallic antique gold paint, that it's acrylic paint that I had purchased from Walmart. So I'm going to put some in here. As you can see, I'm just not measuring, but I'm putting it in here, and now I'm going to mix it with my resin. You want to make sure it's completely stirred in before you start. I want to make sure it's not translucent. So as you can see, it is not. You're going to continue to get bubbles. So you need to blow it out. You can use a torch. I just know if I was to use a torch, my stuff would melt, and then it gets sticky and you can't use your molds. So I believe it's pretty much not translucent, and it's all stirred. So I'm going to then put in one of these little, I guess it's a beaker, I don't know. I'm going to put some in here because I'd like more control than this big bucket. Trying not to waste any resin. And I'm going to take my handles, and I want to pour in the holes first, and then I'm going to, once it sits there for a couple minutes, as you can see, I'm doing the holes first because you want your holes filled. I have a wipe handy to get any of the resin off of where it might have gone. I'm going to put my heat gun on low and get rid of any of the big bubbles. And now I'm going to pour into my mold. This looks to me like caramel. I don't know if it looks like that to you, but to me it looks like caramel candy. So I'm going to put this aside, give it a couple minutes while I put my first layer down on my trays, and the bubbles should come to the surface, and then I will heat it up, but I'm going to put this aside for now. Now I have this little one, and I am going to pour some more in. I just want like one layer, a small layer, and then I'm going to come back in an hour and add another layer. but right now I'd like just a layer of gold. Always keep your wet wipes handy to help you out. So if you spill anything, which most likely if you're anything like me, you will. But I like these little cups because they help me keep everything in the areas that I'd like. So I'm going to go around mostly the outside to make sure that that has everything I need. I just want a thin layer. I'm not trying to waste resin, so I am just doing a thin layer, and I will smooth this out. But I definitely want it in the cracks. I don't know if you can see. There you go. I need it in the cracks. All the little crevices. Now you can take a spatula and move it around. You can use your heat to do that. I would just like a thin layer of resin, and then I will come back in about an hour and do a design, because I'd like these trays to be gold and white. I believe I've said that already, but you definitely want to make sure you get the resin in all the little holes. So that's what I'm working on right now. So I'm just going to leave that sit for a couple minutes. Now I'm going to work with this container, pouring my resin that I have into my little container. I hopefully have enough, but we shall see. So I'm going to mix it again. And like I did on the last one, I'm going to go around. I'm going to move this guy over here for now. And I'm going to go around the outside edge as best as possible, so that I fill all the crevices. I have quite a bit in the corners. I literally only want a little bit of the resin here. So we shall see. So I just want to get it in the corners. Then I'm going to show you how you can blow this out, hopefully. And I might need more. It's hard to say right now, but we shall see. Because I didn't want to put a whole bunch in, because I'd like to do this in layers. So that's why I didn't add a lot of resin, because when you waste it, you're trying to fill molds you don't even want to make, and that's kind of annoying. So we're going to see if we have enough to do this. If not, we will just mix up some more resin. I'm going to use this spatula, trying to get some of this out, more of it, to get down on the edge. And then I'm a little bummed I don't think I have enough to do the entire bottom of my tray, but we shall see. I might have more than enough. Not exactly sure, but I definitely want to make sure I get it in where the pattern changes. And then I'm going to blow this out with my heat gun and see if I can move it around. But just trying to get it in the nooks and crannies. These take quite a bit of resin to make the trays, and resin is extremely expensive. So that is why I am trying to do it in layers so I can get a design pattern on my trays, because I just don't want to fill it with a bunch of nonsense. I want to have some control on what it looks like when it's done. So I'm going to take my heat gun, put it on high, and what this does is it will manipulate your resin, as you can see, and it will also blow the holes out, the bubbles. So if you don't have it in a spot, it will help that spot. See how it's blowing the resin? Most likely I'm going to need more, but I definitely need it. There's a little hole right there that it's not going into, so we're going to use our little stick. Literally, I just want a thin coat of the gold. Resin is fun to work with. It is a lot of fun. Just takes time, patience. Sometimes it can be very messy, but I'm getting better as I do it. I haven't been working with this material for long, but right now I am just trying to manipulate it so that every area gets covered with the gold. So now I'm going to work on the littler tray, and then I'll come back to my little friend over here. So, wow, that gets hot. Do not touch the tip. Just so you know, I just touched it by accident, and yowza. That is hot. So I'm going to turn off my video camera and I'll show you what it looks like when I have it all covered. I'm going to try not to mix more resin. Be back. Okay, somehow I made it work because I didn't want to make more resin. It's not very thick in certain areas, like right up here, but I didn't want it to be really thick. So I'm going to blow it out one more time to get rid of the bubbles, if there is any, because you want to get rid of all your bubbles as best you can. And I'm kind of happy with the results of the thin layer, because I really just want a thin layer so that I can do more to the tray. And as you can see where I had drug over, you can see the lines, which I don't think is that bad. But I think I'm going to drag a little more over, right over here if I can, because it's very, very small in this area, like not a lot. See this piece here? I'm going to get rid of that because I believe that was from the paint. I think I'm heating it up more than I'm blowing it around, because I was too close. So I'm going to let this dry for about an hour. Then I'm going to come back and work on the next part. So even the handles get blown out so that there's no bubbles. Everything gets blown or torched. This is very, very thin. Very thin, which I'm okay with. So I will be back. I have loads of crafts that I'd like to start doing, because I've really missed doing my crafts, because I was getting ready for the flea market, and I kind of have a one-track mind. When I'm working on one thing, I can't be doing 15 things, because then I mess everything up. So I'm going to let these sit here for about an hour. Then I'm going to come back and mix up what I need to do the white. And I'll be back. So here we are an hour later, and this is what our resin looks like right now. I have these beads, Walmart, that I'd like to put some clear resin in, and then I want to put with a toothpick the clear beads scattered in here. So I have clear resin that I mixed up, because I'm sure you don't want to watch me mix up resin. And I'm trying to make a gold and white handles for my gold and white trays. So we're going to see how this works. As you can see, there's a lot of bubbles. We're going to blow them out, but for right now I am going to start pouring my resin in. Whoops, you don't want way too much, because of the fact that I'm going to put some beads in there that might make it come up higher. Whoops, I might have a little too much. If I do, I can always scoot it over to the other part, because the other side does not have that much resin. So I'm going to take some out. And of course, this is not the best way to do it, but it's what I know how to do. So you would like this totally filled. And then I have quite a bit of bubbles. So I'm going to get my heat gun and blow it out. Blow out the bubbles and get rid of them. Because you don't want a lot of bubbles in your resin. Kind of takes away from the beautiful resin. Now, I'm going to take off my glove, and I'm going to gather up some of these white beads and put them in, and I believe I'm going to use my toothpick to move it around if I have to, but I'm not sure right at this point. But I'd like to be able to see the white beads. Some of them seem to be sinking down, which kind of bums me out a bit. But not sure if you can see that. Let me get my gloves on and lift it up. I'm a little bummed about them sinking down, but I am going to add some white glitter in here also. So as you can see, some of them have sunken down, which a little bit bums me out. So I want to use glitter, and I have gold glitter and some white glitter, but I'm going more for the white glitter in here because the bottom is gold. The glitter might just go to the bottom because a lot of times that happens when you use glitter. It sinks directly to the bottom, which is a little bummer. But trying to add a little bit of extra color in there. You really can't see the, let me close this up. All the beads went to the bottom, most of them. That kind of bums me right out. But I'm going to blow it out, and then I'm going to use some mica powder in the color white. I've got pearl white and this mica powder that I had by accident spray painted. So I'm going to blow this out and see what we have left. Doggone it, do not hit the metal thing with your fingers. Not good. It hurts. It's twice now. I'm not burning my hand on a glue gun. I'm burning my hand on that. Wow, that hurt. Okay, that was not fun. So I have some of the mixed up resin here. I'm going to use some mica powder. You don't need a lot at all of the mica powder. I'm just going to tap it in and see how it looks when I mix it together. So right now I'm just mixing the mica powder together. And it's giving like a pearl effect more than the color. So you want to make sure you mix it completely. And I think this is pretty, but I'd like you to be able to see it. On my tray. So I'm going to add some more mica powder. I use quite a bit here. You just need a little, but I'm really trying to make this white. And it seems like the only white I can actually find to buy online is like this beautiful pearl color. See how it's pearl color? Kind of translucent, kind of bums me out, but it is what it is. So I'm mixing that up. Then I'm going to take a little bit on my stick and drizzle it in because I still want that white in there. I don't understand why the handle has it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Q-tip and I'm going to make some swirls or something on this with the mica powder and the resin, because this is really bumming me out, and hopefully I can fix this. So that's the mica powder in there. So we're gonna close this up. Maybe I can get a popsicle stick or something that's closer. Okay, I have these Q-tips. That's what's closer to me. And I'm gonna use the wooden end. So I have this wooden end. And now I'm going to swirl this around because I want it to be beautiful, not just a glob of nonsense. I'm so bummed the gems all went down, you know? But what are you going to do? Okay. Now, I'm going to move this aside. We will see how this turns out. My beads went to the bottom. Bummer. My glitter, not really did anything with the glitter, but I do have some white on top, so we will find out later how that turns out. That's just going to sit there. Now for this jobber right here. Watch when you're picking it up. If you put your glove in there, like I did, I had bumped here. You can heat that down. I don't know if you can see that. See how it's kind of sticking up? You can heat that down, but for right now, I am going to mix up my resin. And I'm going to try to smooth this out carefully because the bottom isn't totally hard. So you definitely want to get the corners and the sides, especially since we didn't put so much on the first time. I might need more out of my container, and then we'll just do this big one first and then do the littler one later. It all depends, but you can see where it's a little see-through down here. I'm going to add, I believe, a little bit of heat to blow it around. This gets the bubbles out. It also blows the resin around a little bit, but it definitely gets the bubbles out, which you want. You don't want a bunch of little bubbles all over the place. In whatever areas you don't have your resin in, you're going to want to pour more resin, which I'm going to have to. But right now I'm just trying to get those bubbles out and move around my resin a bit. So I don't have a lot up top here, so I have to add some more. I am liking that I'm doing this in layers, actually, because I'm not wasting any resin, which makes me extremely happy. It'll all be one unit when it's all done. You can do many things with resin, which is so enjoyable. Big fan of resin, big fan. Not sure if you can see the bubbles in here, but I have quite a bit of bubbles. So I am going to blow that out. You want to make sure it's in the crevices, of course, like I said many times during this tutorial. You want to give it about 5 minutes to sit and then come back and blow it out. Now, I have this, the white, the beautiful pearl white. So, I am going to try and make a design around the tray. We'll see how it turns out. So, Right now I am just basically pouring all around my resin and my tray. Then I'm going to take the end of the Q-tip and I'm going to swirl it. Try not to swirl too thick because I have the gold on the bottom. Finger, it's too long, so it's hitting everything. So I am just trying to do the top layer where I put the mica powder that was mixed with resin. And make designs and everything so that it has beautiful design in it. So now I'm just going back and forth with my mica powder resin. I want to just mix it up so that it's going to be a white and gold tray. This is so much fun to play with. Seriously, I have such a good time making different designs and letting my creativity come out, which is pretty cool. And I just very much enjoy doing this. Doggone gloves. So I want to get closer to the edge with the white. So I have a little bit left. I'm going to mix it up again. Right now I'm worried about one tray at a time. I will get to the other tray because it doesn't hurt having it wait a little longer on the other tray, because it's all going to end up going together anyway. So I'm trying to do the lines a different way because I'd like the gold and white to be all through the tray. Definitely near the ends and the sides. And then of course I'm going to use the bottom of the toothpick to move everything around. But the one time I tried to do a craft with resin and gold, what had happened was I did it at the same exact time, putting the white in and the gold, and the gold pretty much ate the white. You could not see the white anymore. It just blended together. That's why I'm doing this in layers. So I'm going to go over here and try to mix it together somewhat. And of course I'm going to put resin on top, but not right now because I'd like this to dry. So I'm just trying to get white throughout the entire lovely, lovely tray I've got going on here. Now if I was to put glitter on this, glitter sinks to the bottom, and the thing that stinks about that is you're not going to see it unless you're of course holding the tray. So if you wait for this to cure a bit, then it'll stay, you know, before you put your next layer on. So I think that looks pretty awesome. I'm going to blow it out. Now I still have to wait for my handles to dry, and I have to make another set of handles for the other tray. And see how it moves the color around, which I like also. But I do really love this pearl color. I think it's so pretty. I'm still very, 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 very bummed about the pearls or fake pearls that I put in my handles. Now, the reason I moved this the other way is there seems to be, it seems like my craft room floor is not level. And I have way too much on one side and not enough on the other. And I definitely don't want that. So I'm going to add some more resin in here, or at least try to mix the resin around so that it's pretty even. The resin with the white. But it was much more prior to me adding the resin with the color. I'm just trying to make sure you can see the white, see the gold. I believe I have some more of, a little bit more of the white. So I am going to put it right about here because there doesn't seem to be a lot of white over here now that I've added more resin. And the good thing is when you put the handles in, they sink to the bottom. So if you wait for this to harden, because it's hard to get your hands underneath the handle to carry the tray. So if you do it in layers once they dry, because I'm going to be giving this a top layer also. So let me get my toothpick or Q-tip and mix this around just to make it pretty. I just want it in here, the marble eyes. It seems like all the marble stuff went pretty much to one side. So by streaking it like this, I'm hoping to drag some of the white from one side to the other. Is what I'm hoping to do. Because it seems like there's more on this side than there is on this side. So, and you do it gently because don't forget the other layer is not totally cured. We only let it sit for about an hour. So you do it gently and just trying to mix it up a bit so that it goes to the other side a little bit. I think that's very, very, very pretty. I'm going to let it sit, and then I'm going to add I'm going to blow it out again in a couple minutes because this helps the bubbles come to the top also. And then I'm going to let it dry so that when I come back tomorrow I can add the handles. They'll be dry, which is pretty awesome. I'm going to see how much resin I have left and add some to the top. This one. So I'm just adding what is left because remember, we didn't do a lot in the first place. We just did a thin layer of the gold, but the gold, as you can see, shines through. And you never want to waste resin because of the cost of resin. So if you're working on something, it's better than having to run around and find other molds and things, because that's just a pain. So I'm pretty excited that I can add another layer to my other part of my tray. And then I can blow this out and hopefully it'll go all the way around my little tray. And then I got to blow out the other one. So I'm going to blow this out, and I'll be back probably tomorrow to show you how far we got. Okay, so this is 2 days later, because I went to the flea market and I had to wait 24 hours for it to cure. So here's what the tray looks like right now, and I'm going to take it out of the tray mold. So unmold it and take off whatever I get, and I'll have to clean that, and I just wipe it with warm water so that it's totally clean. And I have some stuff on the back, which this pretty much peels right off, and I'm going to wipe it down. Okay, so here's what the tray looks like. It's not very thick, especially down this end. The other end is much thicker. So anything like this, you can just peel right off. And then you can take a Dremel or your nail and pick at this, but we're going to make this thicker. I just wanted to have the white, because when I tried to do gold and white before, the gold ate the white. And this is what the back looks like, because if you remember, I started with the gold bottom, but this is much thicker on this side. I guess my floor is tilted and this is thinner, but that's okay, because remember, I did the handles. So I'm going to unmold the handles and show you what they look like. And then I'm going to mix up some more resin, and I have to make another set of handles, and I have to also work on the other tray. Such a process. So just be careful. Now, I had put the gold down first, as you can see, and then I put some glitter and other colors, and it's a little bit sticking up here. You can scrape it off, you can file it, you can use a Dremel. It's very easy at first to get it off, but I need this for when I lay my next layer of the tray to put this in. And I wanted to have enough room for somebody's fingers to go underneath. When you put it in right away, then you have the problem of it's very close to your tray. So here I am unmolding this part, and same thing, gold on bottom. I have a little bubble there, but it doesn't matter. And if you see, I put the little gems in and they sunk to the bottom, which kind of bumps me out. But it has the gold and the white in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up my resin. I'm going to turn it the other way, because apparently this side over here where it was thicker than this side. Then I'm going to pour the resin and put the handles on, and it gives you more room underneath for your hand to carry the tray. So I'm going to go get this all set up, clean this out before I put my mold in because I don't want any of this debris on the sides in there. And I'll turn you back on and you'll see what I do next. And I'm going to make, of course, 2 more handles. I'm going to start with the gold. And here is what I have so far. And it's very, very thin all the way around. But as you remember, I did the gold first. And on this one, I think I'd like to try to do like a flower, because this reminds me the shape of like a flower. So I'm thinking I'm going to do something with white to make a flower. So I'm going to clean this out too. So let's take this out, and I'm going to show you how thin this is. It's very delicate also, and the sides aren't that sharp. But like I said, I must have a tilt in my floor because it seems like one side is a lot thinner than the other. So because I did the gold first, and I didn't want to mess with the white because I was working on this one to make this white to see how that worked out. So I'm going to put clear on top of this. I'm going to do the white on this, and I want to do some kind of flower. And for the handle, I am going to do the gold first and then the white and see how that turns out. But first I'm going to wash my molds. So I will be back once my resin is mixed and I'm ready to start. Okay, so what I did was I took this out, cleaned the mat with water and soap, and made sure it was dry. Resin and water do not mix. So once it was dry, I had wiped down both sides of my resin on all my products for both trays. I wiped these down. I wiped this down. I made sure it was dry, especially in the holes. And then I took a disinfecting wipe from Clorox. Wiped everything down, even the top, because you don't want any bits of anything. So I mix my resin, and I'm going to pour some into this container and mix it with gold. And I'm using metallic antique gold paint that I got from the Walmart. So everything's mixed. It's a 1:1 ratio, and I'm going to pour some in here. I don't need a lot of gold. I need gold for my handles. So I don't want a lot of it because I'm going to fill the top like I did with this, how it's gold on the bottom and then some white and glitter on the top. So I have my metallic gold. I am going to put it in with my resin and take my stir stick and mix it together. And I don't want it clear. I'd like it to be like caramel, I'm thinking, so that you can't really see through it. If you can see through it, you can add more paint, but you can't take out the paint unless, if you had too much, you could turn around and add more resin if you wanted to, but I'm trying not to do that. So I'm just mixing it, and it looks like it's pretty thick, the color. So you cannot see through it. Has some bubbles, not a lot. So I'm going to move this tray and bring this tray over here, and I'd like to fill in the holes first. So I start with the holes and let it go. Do this hole. Do this hole. And this hole. I have wipes everywhere, So I'd like to get this off the top. I'm going to bang it down some and see how all the holes are filled. Now I'm going to add some more of my gold resin into my mold for my handles. I don't want it completely filled because, like I said, I would like to do white on top. Maybe I'll just make these all gold. That's what I'm thinking. I might make them all gold, the handle. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make my entire handles gold. It's a pretty color gold. I just want to make sure I have enough for both. Back and forth. You get a lot of drips with resin, a lot of drips. And the one good thing is I have my plastic sheet down and I'm working on an outside table in my craft room. So basically I can scrape it off with a scraper. I use those little razor container things. I'll show you in a minute because kind of right now I'm busy and I can't show you. But if you notice, it's filling up more on the one side. So I guess my floor in my craft room might not be level, or it could be the table's not level. But I'm going to move this around once I get all the resin in here and clean everything off. I'm going to move this to maybe a secure spot where it's a little more level on my table. I'm just trying to clean up my mess. This will peel right off if I left it on there, but I just think it's easier if I clean it as I go. Then I'm going to use my heat gun to blow out the items. This is what I was talking about. I use on my table. Don't use it on your mat. I've used it on the mat. Cut the mat. You can get them at the Dollar Tree. I believe there's 3 in a pack. They come with a razor. Let me show you. I can't get it out. Oh, there we go. And this is what I scrape my table with, the razor. And as you can see, it gets pieces of resin in there. And when I'm done crafting, I will clean this out. But it's got resin in here and a bunch of yuck. But you can replace the blades as long as you don't break this part, which I have broken that part. Okay, so now that you know what I'm talking about, I got my torch and I am going to blow out the bubbles. Sometimes it takes about 5 minutes for the bubbles to come to the top. So I'm going to give that some time, and I'm also going to move it. Hopefully it'll all be level when I move it. Looks kind of level. It's hard to say. So I'm going to use clear to insert the handles that I made the other day. But first I'd like to clean off my resin off my working tools. You can peel this out the next day. Honest, it'll peel right out. Do not add water. That is a hot mess with water. It gets very sticky. If you were to just take this to your sink right now while it's wet, it's not the best thing to do. I've tried it. I've made mistakes. I'm trying to share with you so you don't end up making the same mistake I have. And right now I am just trying to wipe this out and get ready to pour some clear resin onto my tray. Now, here's my tray. Maybe it'll flow this way. I'm hoping, because this is a lot smaller than this side. So I'm going to mix up my resin in my big bowl that I have. That I believe I got this at the Dollar Tree, which is good. And I got this spatula at the Dollar Tree. And it's silicone, so you can get that out also. Not exactly sure how much I need, but I can always, when I'm ready to do my flour or whatever for the other tray, I can always add that. So here is my resin in my little cup. Can't stir with my left hand. So I'm trying to stir it. It's not getting warm, so I have quite a bit of time. You could also, to keep your resin from not hardening real quick, you could put it in a warm bowl of water. Not the resin itself, but the bowl and then your resin in it. You can feel it getting warmer as time goes on. You want to be aware to read your directions so that you don't run out of time while you are making whatever item. So we're going to start down here with the clear resin. Just pouring it. I want to do a clear coat on top. I don't have a lot of room on the other side because, like I just found out, my table is not level. And I'd like to get this entire area covered, and then I'm going to come back in about an hour and I'm going to stick the handles in. So for right now I am just trying to fill my mold. I'm going to use a spatula and I'm going to move it around. You can use your torch, or torch isn't good. I mean, it's not horrible. It can mess up your mold, but I like to use my heating element, heat gun, or you could use like a blow dryer. I did try to use, but that kind of didn't pan out because it blew everything around too much. It almost created a total mess. So I'm going to move this around. Like I said, this is pretty high over here. So I'm just trying to make sure every bit of the area is covered with the clear resin. After this is done, I'm going to blow it out with my heating tool, and then I am going to, in an hour, come back and I will share with you how I put the handles in. But for right now, I am just trying to smooth all this out, make it level, and have enough everywhere to have a level. You don't want a sideways tray with one area being higher up than the other. So I'm trying to fix my mistake. And I'm going to have to make some more resin, which I have no problem with, to do the flower. But right now I want to finish this, and I'm going to work on this, and in an hour I'll come back and show you when I put the handles in. So I'm just going to blow this out. Sure you don't care to see that, and I'll be back. I waited the hour, and I put the handles in on both sides. All I did was pick them up and place them in. Now I'm going to use the dryer, the heat gun, to make sure that everything is... Oh, I am so sorry about that, but there you go. You get a better view of what I'm doing. Did not mean for that to fall. I wanted to lower you, but I wasn't planning on lowering you that quickly. And then over here, I have the other side. So I am just heating it up with the heat gun and trying to show you how it looks. So I put them up against the side. I don't know if you can see that, of the tray. See how that is? Let me back up some. And then I put it on. Excuse me, I'm trying to turn off my heat gun. And then I did it on this side. So I have the handles in. I waited an hour and then put them in. And now I'm going to mix my resin and show you the flower that I'm going to try to make. Okay, so here we are with the one that's done. You can see some of the white. It's got the handles. Now I'm going to take it out of the mold and show you what it looks like on the front and the back. So here's the front with the handles with a little bit of white in it, and here's the back where you can't see any of the white. Okay, so any little doodads on the side you just take off. They're easy to take off. You can use a Dremel if it's totally hard, but the handles are in there very secure. So what we're going to finish today is this one that needs white. And I'm pretty excited about it. I put the handles in, same way I put the handles in the other one, where I waited an hour for the clear resin on top to dry, and then I put the handles in. So here's the handles. Now, I have clear resin that I have mixed up that I'm going to put on the top to make this thicker. And I am using Pinata color Blanco. Of course, I got this on Amazon, and it comes with this really cute little container, and I poured some in there. There's not this much in there, but there's some. So I'm going to pour this resin on there first and make sure that it's all around my tray, and then I'm going to work on the white. So here we go. I want to make sure I'm getting around the edges first, because you want it totally smoothed out and all around. And I'm leaning it so that it goes, but of course it's leaking out. You can smooth it out with your spatula, whatever you have. Now I'm going to go over here. Be careful not to hit your handles. If you do, like I just did, you want to use a wet wipe and make sure you get that off. So I just poured a whole bunch down. I'm going to get a baby wipe or a Clorox disinfectant wipe, because I did get it on the handle right over here, and I want that gone because I don't want a bump on my handle. So you just wipe it away, make sure there's no resin there. So I poured, as you can see, the resin on, most of it. Now I have a spatula, and I am going to try to move this around so that every nook and cranny gets the resin. And then I'm going to blow it out to get rid of the bubbles, and move it around if I need to with my my heat gun. Kind of looks like a blow dryer. I have used a blow dryer. I'm sure I mentioned that in this video. But it's been days. I started this on Saturday and it's now Wednesday. So I've been doing a little bit at a time because it takes a couple days, well, 24 hours to harden, and then if you add more, it takes another 24 hours. So everything you do with resin to harden will take you 24 hours to continue to harden. So I don't have a lot under here. I'm trying to watch out for the handles. And once I get this all smoothed out and I have enough resin everywhere, that is when I'm going to try and make some kind of design with the white, like a flower or some kind of shape. Like I said, I'm new at this. I'm just trying new things. And I like gold and white, so I wanted to give that a try. So right now I'm just trying to get all of my resin out so that I have enough to go everywhere. I believe I have it all. Now for the heat torch, this heats it up so you get rid of the bubbles, and it also can help you move some of your resin around where you don't have any. And I can see some spots where I need to fix it. So I'm going to move this over here because I have no resin in the one spot. So I'm going to push this over to make sure I get it in every spot. And we will check that out. And this gets the bubbles out, like I said. And I'm not sure if you can see, but I added glitter. I added gold glitter and some iridescent glitter that will pick up different colors, which I think is pretty. So there, I believe we have the resin everywhere we need it. So, like I said, it comes with this little container. And I'm thinking of doing around the edges. And here it comes. I kind of wanted a straight line, but that is not working out. So I'm going to get a toothpick or something to drag it around. But see how it's moving? They're widening. I just want to be able to see the white, because I tried this before and that did not work out for me at all. The white, it blended in with the gold. I'll do some in the middle. I was honestly hoping for a straight line, but that's not going to happen. So as you can see, it's pulling in the middle. I'm going to put the lid back on this to keep it so it doesn't harden. Now I'm going to get a popsicle stick. I'm thinking I would do better with a popsicle stick. And I have a lot of them. So here's my popsicle stick. And I'm going to start swirling the white around, trying to make some designs and make sure that it has white on here. And I might have to add, I think I'm going to have to add some more resin to this. But I just want to make sure that I have white in here. I seriously wanted this to look like a flower, but that is not happening, which is kind of a bummer, because I thought it would come out in a straight line, but you learn as you go. And I wanted white and gold, so that's the effect I'm going for. White and gold. So I'm going to mix up some more resin, wait a little bit, and then pour it on the top, so that I have the white not blending anywhere. So I will be back when this is done to show you what it looks like when I'm finished. Okay, after I turned my recorder off, I just want to show you what I did. I added mica powder into the resin I had to make it, because when I added the glitter and everything, it just blended together, and I want this white and gold. So hopefully you can see the mica powder that I added. Of course I added too much, because you don't need this much, but I added it right to the resin that was already poured on here, and I wanted to give it some definition with the gold because it started to come out too white. So be back when it dries. Okay, we are finally done. I'm so excited. The handles are now fully cured, so we don't have to worry about that, because the other day they were kind of bendy when I put them in here. So let's unmold the little one. I think you're a little too close. There we go. Okay. I am so excited. I'm finally done. So the back has the gold. It has little pieces around it which just come right off. Okay. And this has more white and then some gold over here, which is fabulous. So if it's a little rough on the end, you can just take it off with your finger, or you can use sandpaper or a nail file or a Dremel, any of them. So this one's done. I have this little piece on here. So that's the one. And then the other one has more glitter on the top, and that's done, and they're hard. I love it. So let me adjust this so you can see what I'm showing you. How wonderful is this that they're finally done? So this one is more white with some gold, and the back's gold. And then this one is gold with some white in it. So they're a set, and I'm so excited. And look at the different layers that I did. So, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to try to keep up on my videos now. This one took a couple days. So, thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day. And I will be starting another project soon, and I will be trying to post them in like 24 hours. I'm trying to get it together between my craft making and my flea market. So thank you all who've watched. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you next time.